You're traveling through the unknown, a journey beyond the corners of reality, where the shadows whisper and the chill runs deep. Welcome to the dimension where your deepest fears are given form. This is The Midnight Mystery.
Welcome to The Midnight Mystery. This episode is called The Last Stop. In each episode, we delve into the shadowed corners of our existence, bringing you tales of the eerie, the uncanny, and the downright terrifying. From the realms of the supernatural to the depths of the human psyche, no stone is left unturned, no dark secret left hidden. For today's episode, we have a father who is stranded out in the middle of nowhere until he comes across a gas station with a sinister presence to it. Sit back and relax in your favorite armchair with the gentle hum of the night. As the clock once again draws near midnight, prepare to embark on another adventure into the uncanny, the eerie, the horrifying, the midnight mystery. It was nearing midnight when my car, a 1997 beaten-up Oldsmobile, gave out on the lonesome stretches of Route 66. Its strained groans echoed in the stillness of the desert, a symphony of despair that rattled my nerves. Not another soul in sight. The dying remnants of my cell battery found no signal. The only light I could see came from a distant, dilapidated gas station. The last stop, its rusted sign read. Leaving my car behind, I trudged to the station under the cold, judgmental gaze of the stars. The air tasted like dust and old fear. A strange neon sign flickered in the window. Open 24/7. My heart sank at the sight of the lonely clerk in the station's convenience store. His name tag read Luke. He had pale skin that the faint fluorescent lights rendered almost blue. Sharp, piercing blue eyes gazed at me from behind thick spectacles, the glint in them evoking a sense of unease. A sly smile played on his thin lips, a smile that promised both solace and danger. "Car trouble?" he asked, his voice smoother than the aged whiskey lining the back shelf. I nodded, explaining the details of my predicament. He leaned back in his chair, lacing his fingers behind his head. "I can help you," he said, the smile never leaving his face. "But everything comes at a price. Desperation can drive a man to do many things. Fear, even more so." I asked him what he needed. "A simple trade," Luke proposed, reaching under the counter to produce an old brass key. "This will start any car, anywhere, anytime. In exchange, I'll need something of yours. Something personal." Bewildered, I asked him what he meant. His grin widened. "Your most cherished memory," he said. A chill ran down my spine. This was absurd, a trick or an elaborate prank. But those knowing eyes, full of ageless wisdom and a hint of malevolent joy, told a different story. "What will you do with it?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "Trade secrets," he winked. "Will you take the deal?" My thoughts pondered on my daughter, my little girl's first steps, her cobalt blue eyes wide with innocent wonder, her tiny fingers clutching a sun-bleached teddy bear. It was as if a sunbeam had been captured within those four walls, casting out any hint of darkness with her vibrant laughter. It was pure, untouched joy, the kind that only an innocent child can radiate. But then, my thoughts shifted to the harsh reality outside, the merciless desert night that offered no refuge. My car, now nothing more than an immobile hunk of metal in the middle of nowhere. My phone, its battery life sapped away like my hopes of a quick rescue. The bleak, desolate landscape echoed the growing despair in my heart. I was all alone, and for miles and miles that stretched before me, there was not a single hint of civilization. Two paths lay before me, to keep my cherished memory and possibly face the cold desert night, or trade it away for my safety. But as a father, I had sworn to protect my child, and to do so, I needed to get back to her. I needed to face the nightmares of today to ensure her dreams of tomorrow. I made my choice. With a deep breath, I took one last look into the depths of Luke's eyes, where the shimmering blue promised the comfort of forgotten oblivion. There was a pang in my heart, a tear in the fabric of my existence as I agreed to his deal. "Take it," I said, my voice echoing with the gravity of my decision. "Take the memory." As I reached out to shake Luke's icy hand, a strange sense of dread overcame me. The coldness seeping from his palm wasn't the kind brought by weather or sickness. It was as if his touch was forged in the shadows, untouched by the warmth of life. Electric pain shot through my head. It felt as though my skull was being split open, the agony so pure and intense that I buckled to my knees. Luke's cackling laughter echoed around me, filling my senses, as I clenched my teeth against the pain. I felt like I was falling, tumbling into an abyss as a torrent of images flooded my mind. My little girl's bright eyes, her toddling steps, her infectious laughter. And then, as quickly as it came, the pain subsided. I opened my eyes, panting heavily. The neon lights of the gas station were now too bright, too real. Luke was standing before me, his grin wider than before, the brass key glinting in his hand. But within me, something had changed. There was an emptiness where a treasured memory used to reside. A gaping hole in my heart, where there once was a warmth, a joy so profound it made life worth living. The memory of my daughter taking her first steps. It was gone. The laughter, the proud sense of fatherhood, the pure joy of the moment, erased as if it had never existed. With a hollow feeling gnawing at my chest, I slowly rose to my feet and took the key. Its brass was cold against my skin, an alien object that came at too high a price. The transaction was over. The deal was sealed. But as I turned to leave, Luke's voice stopped me. His words slithered in the silence, a sinister whisper that made the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. "Remember," he said, his grin splitting his face into a grotesque mask of delight. "The devil's in the details." My car roared to life as the brass key turned in the ignition. The engine purred, the warmth from the vents dispelling the cold that had seeped into my bones. As promised, Luke's key had breathed life back into my car, a miracle born of a devil's deal. With a heavy heart, I drove off under the indigo sky. Its endless expanse seemed to mirror my growing despair, the stars twinkling like distant judgmental eyes. The gas station, the last stop, dwindled in my rearview mirror, a beacon of dread growing smaller and smaller until it was no more than a tiny speck. Then it disappeared entirely, swallowed by the consuming darkness of the desert night. As the miles rolled on beneath my tires, the loss of my precious memory gnawed at me, a gaping wound that refused to heal. Each mile marker I passed was a reminder of my sacrifice, the trade I had made with the devil at the crossroads. I could almost hear the echoes of my little girl's laughter, now lost to me forever. The sweet memory, now erased, of her small figure toddling towards me on unsteady legs. I gripped the steering wheel tighter, the pain in my heart raw and piercing. But as the harsh reality of my choice sank in, something else made me shudder. It was the chilling realization that I had left my old life behind at that gas station, along with my most cherished memory. I was no longer the same man who had broken down in the middle of nowhere. The innocence of faith in a fair world had been ripped away from me, replaced by a stark understanding of the ruthlessness of fate. The remainder of the drive home was a blur. The world outside seemed to move in a surreal, slow motion. My heart pounded with anticipation and guilt with each passing mile. The house came into view just as the sun began to rise, casting long shadows and bathing everything in a soft golden glow. My daughter, my little angel, was sitting on the front steps, her small form hunched over a coloring book. Seeing her alive and well, oblivious to the sacrifice I had made for her, filled me with a strange mix of relief and anguish. I approached her slowly, each step heavier than the last. She looked up at me, her blue eyes sparkling with innocence and love. A wave of affection washed over me, so strong it nearly brought me to my knees, but beneath it lurked a darker undercurrent, a rising tide of guilt and fear, a silent reminder of the pact I had made. "Daddy!" she exclaimed, rushing into my arms. I hugged her tight, inhaling the sweet scent of her hair, trying to etch this moment deep into my heart. "Hey, princess," I murmured, forcing a smile onto my face. A heavy silence hung in the air as I led her inside. The house felt different, as if the walls themselves were aware of the abhorrent act I was about to commit. Tucking her into bed that night was the hardest thing I had ever done. Each of her sleepy yawns, her soft sighs, her trusting gaze, they were daggers stabbing at my conscience. Once she was asleep, I stood by her bed, watching her peaceful face. The room was filled with an eerie calm. The only sound was the steady rhythm of her breath and the deafening thump of my own heartbeat. I took a deep breath, reaching under the bed to pull out a box that hadn't been opened in years. It contained a relic from my past life, an old hunting knife my father had given me. Its weight felt strange and menacing in my hand. As I loomed over her, my hand trembling with the weight of the blade, my mind was filled with chaos. But amidst the turmoil, a single lucid thought emerged. I had sealed my fate at the gas station. Now it was time to fulfill the devil's due. I made my choice. The final echo of Luke's words chilled me to the bone. The devil was indeed in the details, and I was about to find out what those details truly entailed. I'm sorry, darling. I hope you enjoyed our episode. I'd like to extend a heartfelt thanks to you, our brave listeners. Your presence in this shared journey into the unknown is what fuels our stories. Your fascination is our motivation. Did this episode send chills down your spine? Leave your comments, share your thoughts, your theories, your own midnight mysteries. Your feedback is the beacon that guides us through the uncharted territories of our stories. And if you haven't already, remember to subscribe to our channel. By joining the Midnight Mystery family, you won't miss out on a single chilling tale. As a subscriber, you'll be the first to know when a new episode lurks around the corner, ready to pull you back into the shadowy depths of the unknown. This is the Midnight Mystery signing off, leaving you with a simple reminder. When the clock strikes 12, fear the silence, for that's when our tales come to life. Good night, Midnight listeners, and remember, not all who wander into the dark are lost.